Good morning, everyone. Matt, Operations Manager for MTD Construction here. And today we're going to be taking you on a tour of a house that had a fire. As you can see, we've already began work, and here's the new electric box. And over here we have new skylights. And we're not sure what the cause of the fire was, but here's the old electric box that no longer met code. So all that had to be pulled out and replaced. And you can see up top, we have some smoke damage on the truss. And then as we make our way into the house, you can see the damage that occurred from this fire. We have a melted washer box, and we have new truss that's been installed as the fire made its way up through the roof. And you can see some of the fire damage here. And all this has to be mitigated and painted and sealed. And then the house has to be cleaned. You can see the extent of the damage from the fire. It was pretty hot. And it went from the kitchen up through the roof. And you could see what it did to some of the HVAC and obviously all of these truss. So in the course of this fire, what's important to understand is in the restoration piece, everything that was here is damaged. That includes plumbing, that includes wiring, that includes HVAC. And all of that has to be removed and cleaned or removed and replaced. In this instance, due to the heat of the fire, the extent of the smoke damage, everything had to be pulled out and replaced. So essentially, we're stripping this down to the bare walls, and we're going to then bring in an ionization machine, which will take those free radicals and pull them out of the air, and we'll pull those electrodes out and clean them, and then bring oxygen back into the house because that expels O3. And then we'll use an air scrubber. We'll put one on each floor. Let those run for a couple of days with the house sealed up. Then we'll paint everything, seal it, and have it ready to go for the rest of the MEPs, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So it's not a horrible thing that some of this wood is charred. As long as an inch of the wood is remaining, it's still usable. And that's perfectly acceptable. So if you open up a wall to your house, you discover that there's been a fire, as long as there's an inch of wood and it's not load bearing, it's completely acceptable to leave it. And that reduces cost on the insurance company and also expedites the timeline under which we can complete this project. But I just want you to see the extent of the damage that occurred here from smoke and fire. And you can see how the heat, when it rises, got up into this high cavity and charred the wood just from the radiant heat, not even flame. What it did to the old dried out cedar that had wrapped the windows. You can see how spontaneous combustion can take over and ignite other material around it. So it's not necessarily the flame. And this is why when you remodel your house, it is imperative you put in draft stopping, fire blocking, and smoke blocking. This is to prevent heat and hot gases from coming up through these holes in the floor and getting into this cavity and setting things on fire. Now, there are a multitude of ways you can do that, and here is a prime example. Non-flammable foam. You can see it. This is where the original builder put this in to prevent that very thing from happening. Other areas of concern of which you want to be aware are holes in your floor for plumbing, HVAC, things of that nature. You want to seal up those cavities because heat rises, and as that heat dries out, it gets to the combustible temperature of a material, it will spontaneously catch on fire. If you've ever watched a forest fire from afar, and when I lived in New York, I was a volunteer firefighter, and we would go out to the Pine Barrens or, various sundry areas, and you'd watch the heat from a building ignite another building next door. And that is that spontaneous combustion that's so damaging and so threatening. And you can see what the heat did to these windows. So you've got all of this material that used to be sealed. The heat itself broke the seals and damaged the windows. And these windows are no longer effective. These are old Pella windows that were kind of the standard back in the day when this house was built, but they're no longer effective. So this ceiling used to be tongue and groove, and the heat itself scarred the material. So therefore, it all had to come out. And of course, once you pull that out, the insulation comes out. There's no discernible way to save that. The firefighters did a really good job here. They pulled down all this material to discover any hidden embers, any hidden hot spots. People think, why are they over there taking down this drywall? Well, it's because the heat will travel through these cavities and spontaneously combust something in the ceiling and cause a small fire. You won't see the smoke, and then the house will actually start to vibrate from the pressure of the hot air and the smoke. And then as soon as you introduce oxygen to that fire, boom, the whole thing lights up. So they have to pull this down very carefully and inject water into these spaces to cool things down and make sure that the fire hasn't spread. So I wanted to give you just an overview of where we stand now and the process. So, and this applies to any construction project. The first thing to do is to prepare the property for the final finish. And it starts at the very beginning with a plan. And when you hire a contractor, if they don't come to you with some sort of written plan or some sort of design plan, ask for one. It is imperative. That's where you want to start. What is this going to look like? Because you're building for the finished material. Your finished material is going to go on top of all of this framing here. And if this framing does not mirror the final plan itself, now you're stuck making changes at the very end when drywall is already up. And that's a hard place to be, and that's difficult to do. So you want to start with a solid plan. And that plan should detail electrical, plumbing, location of things. So all of that stuff can be installed before the drywall goes on and the insulation is behind it. And all of that must be inspected by your local building department. That is imperative. People think, oh, I'm just running some wires for some lighting and a vent fan. Well, that has to be inspected. Everything has to be brought up to code. And code could mean GFI, it could mean arc fault, it could mean a multitude of things that are designed to keep your home safe. None of this stuff here is designed to keep the house from not combusting. What it's designed to do is give you the time to get out, to find those other people that are in the house, disabled children, pets, give you enough time to isolate that fire to where it's located, grab those loved ones and get out of the house. Leave everything else behind. It can be replaced. So with that in mind, I want to give you a warning about insurance companies. I'm not saying insurance companies are the evil empire. What I am saying is that you want to work with a professional who understands the insurance process. We use Xactimate, and we have an Xactimate specialist who will write this up in Xactimate and give it to the insurance company. They're going to give you a check for probably a half of what this project will cost. Your construction expert, your mitigation restoration expert is going to go to bat for you and ensure that you get every dollar to which you're entitled. Again, this is not a battle. It's just their job is to mitigate costs, and our job is to restore your home. We will find that balance. In the meantime, though, we're going to be working on your home. We're going to be striving to get you back into your house as soon as possible. In the meantime, on the back end, we'll be working with your insurance company to ensure that we don't take shortcuts. Some of the shortcuts I've heard, well, can you splice wires together? No, I can't. Can you just tap into plumbing here? Does that have to be done? Yes, it has to be done. We don't do these things to increase costs. We do these things because I'm putting my name on this project. My company name is going to stand behind this house. And 2 years from now, 5 years from now, this house needs to perform better than it did when you first moved in, depending on the scope of the damage. That's my fiduciary responsibility to you, my customer. My responsibility is also to the insurance company to ensure that we're good stewards of their money. However, they're going to take it to their extreme, and therefore we will go to bat for you to ensure that those things that need to be replaced are replaced, meet code, meet today's standards. Just because it meets code doesn't mean it's of high quality. Code is the absolute minimum standard. And when I say minimum standard, I mean minimum. I mean, you can't, if you go any lower than that, it is not safe. And that is the threshold to which they hold themselves. It's up to the builder to ensure not only does it meet code, but it goes far beyond. So when somebody asks me, hey, did you build this to code? I say, absolutely not. And they look at me kind of cross-eyed. And I say, code is not where you want to be. You want to be at a higher level, a higher standard. And that's imperative for the longevity of your home. Not that code won't get you there, but that's not what we believe. We believe there are better ways of doing things. And sometimes they're cheaper, and they are far superior. New materials have come on board, TJIs, truss, LVL. All of these three-letter acronyms mean something, and what they mean to you is a far superior product than nominal lumber. They're going to perform better over time, especially in harsh environments where we live. Hot, cold, freeze, thaw, dry, humid. All of those changes take a toll on a house, and things move. They will. Ground is going to move. They will. These products are designed to absorb those forces and spread it out throughout the house and make sure you don't have a detrimental failure. Far superior than nominal lumber and other building products that we've used for hundreds of years. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but there are far superior products. So I hope this video was informative. I hope it gave you an overview of what to do in an emergency like this. Obviously, call the professionals, let them come out, do their job. Firefighters, police, they have a job to do, let them do it. Once that's over and the shock is done, call a professional to come in and assess, to clean, to mitigate, and restore. If you're in the Colorado area, you can call me at MTD Construction. We'll come out, we'll look at your project, we'll work with your insurance company. If it's not insurance related, we are a full service builder and we can do anything in your house from building it from ground up to restoring it. And that means kitchens, bathrooms, decks, roofs, outdoor kitchens, basements, garages, whatever it is that you need, we're here to help. And we'll do our best to give you the most honest estimate up front. And we'll guarantee our start and end times, and we have contract pricing guarantee. And there's some other videos that I have about how to vet your contractor. I suggest you look at those because most people vet their contractor on price. And I'm not saying that because we're the most expensive. We're usually in the mid-tier range as far as pricing. But you want to vet your contractor on when things go wrong, what are they going to do about it? How are they going to fix it? When I was a cop in the NYPD, this was a big saying of ours. I don't need my sergeant when things go right. I need him when things go wrong. And inadvertently, they will. Things are going to go wrong. You're going to be in some sort of shootout. You're going to be in some sort of use of force. And everything is going to be questioned. And that's when you need a good partner behind you. And that's what we are. We're going to be that good partner. When things go wrong, we're going to be there for you. We're going to stick with it to the end. So I hope this was informative. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. You can always look us up online, MTD Construction, 719-332-6645. Any of our friendly staff would be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Even if you just have a question about a project in which you find yourself involved and you're not sure, call, leave a message, and we'll get back to you, or send me an email. My email's on my website, and we'll get back to you with an answer that I think would best suit you, maybe not even seeing the project. But we're here to help. So appreciate you viewing, and have a blessed day.